Learn today's massive reports coming out from Brazil as Chelsea are entering the race to sign this Brazilian wonderkid. On top of that, we have more news surrounding the future of Timo Werner, as well as us turning our interest and attention to other centre-back targets now that we missed out on Koundé. Enter Fofana and enter Badiashile. So we have a ton of things to break down and discuss today, my friends. Hope you enjoy. If you like today's video, show us some love, smash that like button. Let's try and get 3k likes again. And without wasting any more time, so right now, let's kick things off and let's discuss the latest news involving Timo Werner. Now, Romano last night released a tweet suggesting that Juventus have currently made contact over the availability for Werner, and they follow alongside other clubs like RB Leipzig and recently Borussia Dortmund, as sadly they've lost out on Haller at this point in time due to the player being diagnosed with testicular cancer. So of course, we have our thoughts and prayers for the player. Let's hope he comes back soon. So now they do have a spot available now, and the fact that Timo Werner is now available on the loan makes him a lot more attractive and a lot more exciting. And that's because the reality is he is currently on 275,000 a week. He's one of our top earners, and I think it's safe to say that he hasn't lived up to that bill and he isn't worth the money he is currently on. Now, I'm not going to blame this all on Werner. When he originally signed, he was signed here under a plan that Frank Lampard introduced to the player. That was working, he looks exciting at the time. Well, with new managers, they have new ways of playing. And for me, I just don't think Werner suits Tuchel at all. He doesn't suit that football. And I think that's why Tuchel, I've always sensed, is quite reluctant to have to rely upon the player. So I guess we have to see what happens. But for me, I'm going to imagine that Werner will take a massive pay cut because his hopes this year is to become part of that German national team for the World Cup. So if you're serious about that, you have to take massive losses in terms of your wages per week, which I think the player's going to be fine with, to be honest, because these guys playing at this level still have quite strong sporting ambitions, normally when there's like international tournaments during the year. So let's see what happens with that. Ideally, I just don't think that he suits us anymore. I would go to Dortmund or RB Leipzig. I wouldn't go to Juventus if I was Werner. I don't know what their plan's going to be because they have Vlahovic, they want to re-sign Morata again, and they want to sign Werner on loan. So how is that front three going to work? I don't see it happening, but that's going to be Werner's problem, I guess. So right now, so that's the end for the first story. Now I want to get one quick plug out of the way first. Today's video is brought to you by friends of the channel in OneFootball. With the Premier League season approaching very soon, OneFootball is the app you need to have on your phone to stay up to date with all the latest news and transfer dealings happening right now. As you guys can see on the homepage, we got access to all the latest news across Europe. I'm not really impressed by the headline right now. Of course, we know that Barcelona have finally agreed a fee to sign Koundé, medical coming soon, but let's get an idea on some of the big transfers as well happening throughout Europe. As we can see here, Pogba, Juventus, Endrick on loan to Huddersfield, Christensen, etc. And of course, yeah, getting out. But transfers and news stories is only one part of OneFootball. Of course, we have our last final pre-season game coming up very soon against Udinese on Friday the 29th of July. So this is a great way, of course, to get a notification to get ready for that game so you guys don't miss out on anything, get the latest team information, and of course match facts before the game officially kicks off. And as we can see, it's going to be at 8 p.m. in the Badiashile Arena in Italy. So you guys download OneFootball. You'll find a link below in the description. Now let's get back to the stories. So right now, let's move on to the next story. And for me, I'm quite excited to talk about the story. As you guys should know, I've always said that I've had a dream to one day see one of the premier Brazilian wonderkid talents making their name here at the age of 18. It's been a personal thing, of course, growing up as a football fan, seeing like your Neymars, your Ronaldos, all these stars over the years. I've always wanted to see a storyline like this at my club, and the reports coming out from Brazil are getting me excited because they involve wonderkid sensation Endrick from Palmeiras. Now, he's just turned 16 years old, and that means that he's signed his first professional contract. Because he's 16, clubs from across Europe can now officially make contact to try and sign him. And this is where we turn our attentions to Brazilian reporter Jorge Nicola, who gives us a fantastic breakdown of what happened the day after the player just turned 16. Now in Brazil, it's official that we are now making efforts and contacts to sign the player. He reports that we've already held talks with Endrick's agent in Frederico Pena and Endrick's parents, as well as the Palmeiras board as well too. Now I remember all those years back when Emanalo was still at the club, and it was reported that when we tried to sign Neymar at the time, He gave like one of the GOAT pitches of all time to try and sign him. It never worked out, it never materialized, but it did leave a lasting and positive impression with Neymar and his team. So let's hope we can have that same energy again right now, because talents like this, ideally, I want to see them play for my club. Now, he reports that we have signalled our intention to buy him, and we presented an offer now of 30 million euros plus another 10 million in bonuses, as well as many performance-related bonuses for the player to earn over the years. Now, I was a bit confused at times because I was thinking that Endrick had a release clause set at around 60 mil euros, but we got more information surrounding the release clause. So in the first year of him signing his pro deal, you are able to sign the player for around 40 mil, which for me would be a massive bargain over the years. And it seems like Palmeiras' president is very happy to receive offers now up to the tune of 40 mil. Now, of course, if we are able to secure this deal and sign the player, we won't see him here until 2024, and that's when he turns 18 years old, and that's when he's legally allowed to leave and join us. But this will take a monumental effort to try and sign him, knowing that Madrid, Barca, Paris Saint-Germain, think of every big name European club, they are currently after this player. But for me, I'm just got a lot of confidence from the fact that we're moving this fast for the player, and I hope that it makes a bigger impression and gives us an advantage when it comes to signing him. You know, I want to take inspiration from players like Gabriel Jesus signing very early for Man City, players like Neymar moving to Barcelona, players like Ronaldo, Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, so many top talents that have left Brazil at that age to go on to become superstars. I think if we have any hopes of one day going back to the top and being one of those super clubs that you always feel confident are going to win every single game, signing players like this make the difference, because the reality is simply this, you guys. Currently, at our current stage, we can't entice and attract top players. We've done it many a time this window, only to be left in the mud. We can compete, and just because we rely upon certain youth players doesn't mean that they're flops. I mean, with certain guys, there's levels. Look at Mbappe. Hey, you're telling me you wouldn't sign Mbappe as a 17-year-old or 18-year-old? I mean, of course you would. And I think Endrick is part of that same caliber of player. So let's hope we are able to entice him, because for me, if we can get him, this could really be a massive advantage for us over many years, knowing that we could potentially have one of the best players in world football over the next 10 years. So I'm not going to get too excited. I'm going to just keep waiting for reports to come out, and let's hope they do. So right now, we end things with the final big stories that dropped today, and it's time to talk Wesley Fofana and Badiashile for Monaco. Now, after missing out on Jules Koundé, who is now about to take his medical at Barcelona, they've agreed a verbal agreement with Sevilla. The dream's over. We have to turn our attentions very quickly now to find other targets, get the defensive options that Thomas Tuchel needs. I'm getting a little bit worried myself, because it seems like there's no concrete plan at this point in time. I spoke about Dumfries yesterday. Expect more news to come out on Dumfries as the days and weeks go on. But it seems like, my impression is, maybe the club don't have a concrete idea of who is available and who can be bought now in this window. In today's reports, we're looking at some of France's best young defensive talents in Badiashile, a player that I've spoken about many a time over the channel, so it's no surprise he is still on our scouting books, as well as Wesley Fofana of Leicester City. Now, both reports, essentially, there isn't much news behind it. They're alluding to the fact that we are thinking about making a move. We're monitoring, basically. For Badiashile, we would have interest from Sevilla, who are seeing the player as a replacement for Jules Koundé. So that tells you that, okay, he'll be the next big defender to blow up in the next few seasons for very good reason. Left-footed, tall, talented, good on the floor, good in the air. He's been playing for Monaco since he was 17 when Henry first introduced him to the team. And I've always kind of seen this pattern of when players who are good players at a young age, at 17, get introduced, they always like level up very early and become like top players in the next few years. But there are quotes suggesting that Monaco would want around 50 mil euros before even thinking about selling the player. And I'd be curious to know if we feel confident to spend that amount of money now on a player that's still a little bit young, but does have top potential. So I guess now we turn our attentions to Wesley Fofana. And as I said, it just seems like reports are saying that we are weighing up a move, and we've kind of contacted Leicester City to make inquiries, basically, to find out what their terms would be and if there's any legs behind a transfer. Now, immediately, knowing the fact that Leicester spent 36.5 mil just 2 years ago to sign him from Saint Etienne. You know, Fofana has been seen as like one of like the top talents in Europe for his age. he just signed a contract extension taking his deal to 2027. Leicester City have no need to sell the player whatsoever, and knowing that they sold Maguire for around 80 mil, reports are suggesting that it could take offers of around 70 mil plus to sign the player. And this is where it's not making too much sense for me. Now, I don't want to talk about the level of the player and the quality of him. I'll talk about him later on, but let's talk about the finances and reality. If we had that type of money, why did we not make any concrete efforts to sign De Ligt? Oh, we tried to. I got it wrong. We tried to, but of course, he rejected our interest when Bayern Munich, of course, persuaded him to do so, which has been the story of our entire window, to be fair. But to sign Fofana now, you are breaking the bank to sign him. You are presenting an incredible offer that can't be turned down. You have to present incredible wages as well too. And I guess if we were to make the move, I feel like if we wanted Fofana, he was not the original target for this window. He would have been a player that you make a move for once he gets a bit older, and once his contract years go down a bit to make him a lot more affordable to sign. Leicester City got no need to sell the player, and they're notoriously difficult to negotiate with. We know this ourselves, we've seen it time and time again. So just in terms of that plausibility factor involving the player, I'm not really seeing it. I don't have the confidence in the club and in our business's window that we would entertain looking to make 80 mil, 90 mil bids to sign him. And it's not even due to the fact that he had a leg-breaking injury last season. You know, currently in pre-season, the player looks fine. He came back near the end of last season. It's a leg break. It's not like a serious reoccurring injury. He's completely fine from that now. So we have nothing to worry about in terms of his health and his fitness. And he's starting the pre-season quite well for Leicester City at this point in time. I guess in terms of his game, you can see exactly why he is rated. Of course, the guy is tall. He's fast. Always ideal things you want to have when you're Premier League centre-backs. And he's tailor-made for possession teams that play out from the back. And why is that? Well, he's comfortable carrying the ball forward to create better passing angles in which to move the ball. He can play passes between the lines. He has that nice little close control in tight areas too. He looks quite technical when he plays the ball as well too. And importantly as well, he has that recovery pace. And with pace like that, it allows you to play with a high line, and it gives you better protection when it comes to defending counter-attacks as well too. And of course, in terms of his defensive game in the ground and in the air in 1v1 duels, he ranks very high for aerial duels as well as duels on the ground. Now, the only thing is this, and here's how I see it, yeah? At 2021, in terms of his age, currently, he is complete for his age. He has no glaring weaknesses that would make you think, for the money Leicester would potentially want, you can't take a risk because he isn't ready. So this kind of elevates him compared to many of his counterparts. But at the same time, if we were to sign him, we have to accept this as fans too, if it was even a possibility, that he will still make mistakes at times. You know, he's still going to have certain difficulties because at this stage, it's all about just gaining experience. And you only gain experience through matches, from playing, from getting better understandings of how to deal with certain in-game situations at the right time. And you get confidence from players like this because already in their base game, there's no flaws. So this is what makes him a very exciting talent. And a part of me would like to think of things like, could you imagine Fofana and Colwill playing together in a back two? But that's just fantasy stuff that probably will never happen. But I guess realistically, the only way I could see a deal making sense was if we offered Levi Colwill plus money on top, because Leicester City are massive fans. And the irony would be is that, okay, if Colwill went to Leicester and we got Fofana, Leicester would one day sell Colwill for around 70, 80 mil and just continue that cycle. So again, you know, I don't want to spend time talking about Levi Colwill. You guys probably assume I'd be making those points. You know my thoughts and impressions. I don't want to be that boring guy saying things time and time again. And I just want to focus purely on the player and the story and how I think it makes sense and how it doesn't. So all I'm taking from things currently is that it seems like we don't have too many ideas on what the idea is for our defenders. And it seems like we are yet again relying upon opportunism, and hopefully a market solution presents himself. If that's going to be Fofana, only time will tell, my friends. So on that note, I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving, and thank you for watching. Share your thoughts and opinions. You guys have been going absolutely nuts with the comments recently. I think for my match review, close to 1,000 comments. It's like one of the first ones where I couldn't read all the comments because it was just taking too long. But I love how everyone gets involved and shares their thoughts and opinions. It's quite sick. So you guys, on that note, I'm in the FC. This is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.